Welcome to Maul Foster Alongi's Cleaner Air Oregon Level 1 Risk Assessment Tool. This tool was developed based on the proposed Cleaner Air Oregon draft rules released on October 20th, 2017, and then updated on October 30th. It was designed to simplify the process of determining the results of a Level 1 risk assessment by automating the numerous calculations. Please note that this tool is not intended to produce information for submittal to DEQ. The tool may not be valid after the rules are changed and finalized by DEQ. It was created to help facilities assess the toxic emissions units at their facilities and to identify those pollutants that are the predominant contributors to the calculated risk. Per the proposed Cleaner Air Oregon draft rules, a Level 1 risk assessment is not valid for facilities in complex terrain or those with fugitive emission sources. However, this tool may be used to review the point sources and their contributions as determined by a Level 1 risk assessment. Okay, let's get started. To start, you'll need to gather 3 pieces of information for every emissions point. Number 1, the emissions, of course. You will need emissions rates in pounds per day and pounds per year to do all of the assessments. Emissions rates should be collected for each pollutant and each source. Number 2, the stack height of each emissions point in meters. And number 3, the distances from that stack to the nearest exposure location in meters. For the cancer and chronic and non-cancer assessments, this would be the distance to the nearest residence or occupational worker location, such as a business. For the acute assessment, the nearest exposure location would be the nearest point where someone might be exposed for several hours in a single day. This could be a park or sports facility. Once you have gathered this information, it is time to enter the data into the Level 1 risk assessment tool. Let's look at the Level 1 tool. The first step is to enter the emission source names and any emission source notes. These are entered into columns C and D on the Stack Input tab. You will notice that the spreadsheet allows for up to 10 emissions points, referred to as stacks A through J. The only place to enter data on this table is in the light orange cells. You can give each emission source a name that is meaningful to you, and you can enter notes if you want. Both of these are optional, but it may be helpful when reviewing results on the other tabs. For the tool to work properly, you will need to enter the stack height and distances to nearest receptors. In this example, information for a total of 2 stacks, a boiler and a dryer, has been entered. As you enter the stack height and exposure distances for each individual stack, you will notice that there is a dispersion factor that will automatically appear in columns BT and BU. The second step is to enter the emissions rates on the emissions input table. You'll notice that the emissions source names entered on the previous tab has carried over to this tab in row 12. Each cell in the first column on this table, air toxic contaminant, is a drop-down menu where you select the emitted pollutant. For instance, let's select acrolein first. We will enter the emissions rate of acrolein from the boiler stack. We'll assume the dryer stack does not emit acrolein, so we can just leave that blank. Let's select one more pollutant and enter some additional data. You have now completed all the data entry you will need for the tool to conduct the Level 1 risk assessment. Let's look at the results. On the Chronic Risk tab, you will see at the top in green cells the cancer and non-cancer summary results. These are the total risk values that would be compared to the DEQ risk action levels. Below that, you will see results for the boiler stack and the dryer stack. In row 14, you will find the total risk for the individual stack. This allows you to see which stacks are contributing the most to the total facility risk. In rows 15 and beyond, you will see the individual risk result for each pollutant in each stack. This allows you to examine which pollutants are responsible for the risk from a given stack. Identifying which pollutants and which stacks drive the total facility risk allows you to focus in on a specific part of your emissions inventory and assess stack parameters to see if there are any obvious assumptions that could be revised. On the Acute Risk tab, you will see a similar but simpler layout. This is because there is only one risk assessment to conduct. The same analysis of the numbers can be conducted to see if there are any emissions calculations or stack parameter assumptions that could be reviewed in further detail. This has been a simple walk through the Level 1 risk tool assuming only 2 stacks and only 2 pollutants. Let's look at a Level 1 risk tool that is more representative of a real facility. Here you see that 6 stacks have been entered. Notes have also been entered, but only for 4 stacks. In this example, many pollutants have been entered into the tool. Emissions rates have been provided and entered into the corresponding cells. As with the simple example, the green cells present the facility-wide cancer and chronic non-cancer risk results, with a complete breakdown of pollutant risk contribution for each individual stack. Again, here the acute risk is shown in the green cells with stack and pollutant details. We hope this tool has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to call Chad Darby to explain the calculations or to consider next steps. Also, please feel free to give us your feedback on the tool. We may develop a similar free tool for facilities once the Cleaner Air Oregon rules are finalized. Thank you very much.